are up to Lost World, and then we go into Grimoire NieR Revised Edition, which is the appendix for the Lost World 2.1. So it's going to be... Oh, man. So, from my understanding, Lost World is pretty much after ending D, and the Lost World appendix is pretty much after ending E, if I'm correct. The Lost World, 3 years after ending D, Kane discovers the secret of the Forest of Myth. Right. So, our ending E is after that whole thing with the Forest of Myth. This is the one that's Kane discovering the secret. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Definitely interesting. Oh, let's strap in for this one. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So, let's get that music in place. There we go. It's setting the mood. There we go. There we go. The Lost World is Route E. Yeah, that's... I think... Route... Route... How did Route E begin? Route E began with us playing Kane. We'll see how it fits in with the text. We'll see how it fits in with the text. Let's just jump into it and see how it fits into the text. Oh boy, I'm sort of dreading it already. The Lost World is a short story novella, including in the text Grimoire NieR, set 3 years after ending D. Its contexts were later adapted into ending E of NieR Replicant version 1.22. Okay. So it might feel like a little bit of a recap, and then the appendix is going to take off more stuff. Okay. Ooh, this is one of those things. It's one of those things. Better sip this coffee to get a little bit of that bitterness in. But it's too, warm. Damn it. Alright, let's just kick it off. Let's see if I got the music the right thing. Yeah, I got the music the right thing. It's not too loud. It's not overpowering me. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Whew. Fucking hell, Kanye thought to herself. She didn't know what just happened. But whatever it was, something exploded. The resulting shockwave blew her into the air like a leaf in a storm. Unable to recover from the fall, she tumbled across the ground. With her right hand, she stabbed her sword into the floor, using it as an anchor to support her body. Meanwhile, the sword in her left hand served as a shield to protect her from the enemies. There was no way she was going to give up now. Absolutely none. The second wave attacked her. For a moment, her vision turned bright crimson. Splashes of red rolled up around her like a whirlpool. Shortly after, the sound of explosions followed, accompanied by flying debris. It became clear what she was attacked by. She was being smashed and torn apart by a high-pressure stream of water. Clinging to her sword, she waited for the blades of water and the thunderous roar to pass. Although the turmoil had stopped, a piece of debris flew and hit her in the head. The gushing blood and the cut wound felt so cold that it is worse than the injury themselves. After a while, the roar stopped ringing. Or, it's my ears finally giving out, Kanye scoffed. Red liquid seeped from her eyes and nose. The blood she spat out spread around her, red as tea in the murky water. She did that in a very flashy way. If Tyran was still there, he would be overjoyed. She squeezed the hilt of her sword with her body, bloody slippery hands, fresh blood oozing through the gaps between her fingers. Kane exhaled while staring at the 5 Kane in front of her. Oh! Well, that sets the scene. I was like, damn, those, It's like, no, it's Kane fighting Kanes. Wow, okay. 2 days ago. I love how they do this. Kane woke up with a jolt in her crude-looking shack. Heavy breathing, widened eyes, her right hand was limp and wet with sweat. She stayed in that position until she could catch her breath and calm down. Unable to close her eyes, she struggled to endure the feeling of confusion and loss that came over her. It was that dream again. She didn't know what it was or what it meant. She couldn't get a concrete image. What the hell are you doing, Spotify? I'm trying to play the same song and Spotify's trying to play an ad. And yes, I am going to turn down the volume so we don't have to listen to the ad. And no, I'm not going to buy a plan for the company that has very bad coverage, where I can't even use the data in most capital cities. How's that even legal? How can you even run a phone company that doesn't have coverage in the main cities? That's like next level illegal. See, I'm not listening to it. You're losing. I just play the music, damn it. I don't know why it does that. I put it on repeat and then it just stops the repeat. It's like, oh, okay, don't listen to me. Where were we? Was that Dreamer Dan? She didn't know what it was or what it meant. She couldn't get a concrete image of what is about... Wait, sorry, let me read that again. She didn't know what it was or what it meant. She couldn't get a concrete image of what it was about, but she always woke up from it filled with pain and sadness. It was as if she had somehow forgotten something extremely important. As if she was looking into a dark hole in her heart. She often woke up in tears. How many times has this happened? An inexplicable anger filled her heart. If it was a shade, all she had to do was defeat it. But you couldn't defeat a dream. Only frustration accumulated in the depths of her heart. Even worse, it felt like the dream had been more frequently lately. It felt like the dream had been more frequent lately. She looked down at her body. She had unconsciously clenched the sword in her left hand, which she had placed there so she would be able to respond in case of an attack. Kane smiled bitterly. At this rate, she might kill someone before she even wakes up. Kane shook her head. You're thinking too much. It's just the dream. When she left the shack, the grasslands outside were foggy. The wind on her cheeks told her that it would be cloudy for the rest of the day. The sheep that usually flocked to the plains had gone into hiding. She couldn't see a single one of them. That makes sense. No one in their right mind would go out on a day like this. They would be attacked by shades. At this thought, her lips naturally twisted into a smile. Perfect. On a day like this, you've got to kill shades. It's fine. Killing them almost makes me feel better. As long as I'm bathed in their blood, I don't have to think about anything else. Kane grabbed her sword and got ready to leave. She was going to the Forest of Myth today. What gets me is this is after ending D, which means she already knows that the shades are people. I mean, that's something that was pretty clear before ending A. I mean, she knew because she could hear them from Tyran. So she actually knows she's killing people, but she doesn't give a shit. So this is pretty twisted in that sense. She knows what the shades are. It's just, yeah, it's Kane. Apparently nobody had been able to contact the inhabitants for about a month, although it could just be a rumor. She had only overheard some villagers gossiping near seafront. She wasn't the kind of person who liked to chat amicably with people. Even after Tyran's disappearance, her unsociable personality remained unchanged. Wow, so he's actually gone. Okay. That's... Wow, so the events of ending D did actually take place. So this is the aftermath. Okay, so question is how much of her memory she actually has. That's right, Tyran. It's been almost 3 years since the shade that had invaded her body disappeared. The pain she had always felt was gone, but she could no longer use magic. However, her swordsmanship and her usual muscle strength remained intact. She was never good at using magic, so she didn't find it too inconvenient. But why had Tyran disappeared? Whenever she tried to remember, her mind would become hazy. It would always disappear like a mirage. She was sure that something happened. She groaned while pressing her temples. I can't remember, I can't remember, I can't remember. She swung her sword with all her might. A rift in the fog formed for a moment, but it quickly dissolved. She decided to think about it as she always does. I don't care. I guess my mind isn't made for thinking about details like this. With her right hand, she swung her sword in a crisscross motion and sheathed it in her back. I hope there are shades in the Forest of Myth. That way I don't have to think about anything while I'm slashing. Wow. That day 3 years ago, that place where she saved a girl named Yona, she defeated the Shadow Lord and her own shade disappeared. The foolish plan set up by the real humans was crushed. But that was not the end of it. The Shades who had lost their leader began to attack people in a desperate attempt to regain their original bodies. If what Devil and Popola had said about Project Gestalt was true, then this world was moving away from what it should have been. In other terms, the world had become a place where Gestalt and Replicant, which should be united, were killing each other. In addition, the twin observers who were supposed to be in charge of the world were now dead. One way or another, this world will be destroyed. At the end of the battle that began as revenge for her grandmother, she defeated the Shadow Lord, defeated the Shades, and destroyed any possibility of a future for them, the Replicants. It doesn't matter. For her, killing Shades was the only way to live. Only this sword can tell her what to do. I don't care what happens to this world. I'll just keep fighting until the end. Without sharing this awful secret with others, she spent her days fighting as if she was running away from something. Someday, somewhere, she will die. That's all she was living for. That is... wow. 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 That's... So even in the ending when NieR sacrifices himself for Kane, her life is just empty. I mean, she takes his place, but she doesn't really take his place. She still lives outside the area by herself. Yona's by herself. The world's still fucked and she's still miserable. That's depressing. That is depressing. This is a very depressing route. Wow. And this was the final ending for NieR back in the day. You're not reading the book from Google Files? There was interviews with Yoko Taro there that aren't present in the wiki, I believe. No, I'm not reading it from the Google file. I wasn't given a Google file. Exactly 12 steps after passing through the stone gate at the forest entrance, Kane noticed something strange. It was due to her hasty nature. A normal person would have been able to notice it much earlier. Machine cables, like thick tree roots, writhed beneath her feet. Not only that, actual plants were entwined in between the cables in a helix shape. They stretched endlessly across the forest ground. Everything she saw was a mixture of plants and machines. Green oil was dripping from what seemed to be the branches of the trees, and eerie, unknown flowers bloomed in the gaps between the shaking cables. A number of trees created by the intertwining of machine and ivy grew from the ground to the sky. She couldn't understand what kind of ecosystem it was, or what logic was behind the symbiosis between plants and machines. I am still weirded out by that. In any case, it was impossible to call it a forest. Kane instinctively felt that this place was foreign to their world, and yet there was a cool sense of trees all around. The contrast between the filthy appearance and the scent made her feel anxious. Her left hand unconsciously went to her head to check the texture of her hair ornament. She had heard the Forest of Myth was quiet, misty place, where the voices of chattering villagers could be heard. The scene in front of Kane's eyes was nothing like that. She was looking for something resembling a house, but to no avail. Everywhere around her was nothing but a chaotic mixture of machinery and wood. Honestly, she wouldn't be able to tell the difference between a house and a road. The only thing she could tell for sure is that there was no sign of human life. In the depths of the forest, she could see a huge tree, even bigger than the surrounding trees. She could only see its silhouette through the fog. For now, she thought, I'll just go up there. There wasn't another landmark she could use anyway. She climbed over the huge tree, sliced through a pipe, and just focused on moving forward. The sickly oil was unpleasant. The aromas of the plants were unpleasant. But somewhere in the back of her mind, she knew that this kind of unpleasant place suited her. She felt as if she wouldn't belong in a beautiful forest or the warm plains. But that doesn't mean she liked this forest. In fact, she thought it was a pain in the ass. The path was very difficult to navigate. There wasn't a proper path to begin with. But the real struggle came from all the oil plant juices and other liquid dripping everywhere. It was disgusting. Cursing at her slippery feet, she forced herself to keep going. She was reaching the center of the forest. The scenery around her began to change. It was still a combination of machinery and plants, but its components were becoming smaller and smaller. The mechanical tubes, which used to be as thick as Kane's thighs, were now as thick as her fingers. That is a great unit of measurement. That is so Yoko Taro. The mechanical tubes, which used to be as thick as Kanye's thighs, because we're all, paying attention to how thick she was, were now as thin as her fingers. I mean, that is such a Yoko Taro unit of measurement. That is so fucking Yoko Taro. This is just great. This is, I mean, this is, I'm gonna have to remember that. That is classic. How thick is the cable? Well, it's about as thick as your thighs. Oh, that's a good unit of measurement. Posted the Google Doc with extra info. Oh, thanks. Is it a new post so I don't have to dig through the thread? Because I sometimes struggle to find posts on the thread. I'm gonna put this in the thread. It's so good. Ah, it's a new one. Thanks. I'm just quoting that and putting that on the Discord. That is a good quote. The plants too seemed to be gradually shrinking. The cables and ivy became so tangled that it looked like a noodlefish that had been smothered in them. It was still slippery, but at least she didn't have to climb over large cables and tree roots. She was so exhausted that she couldn't even get the words out of her mouth. After about 20 more piles of machine plant spaghetti... Oh man, like I'm so done with this description. After 20 more piles of machine plant spaghetti, she finally arrived at the base of the large tree. The cable and plant ivy were really as thin as pasta. Someone was hungry when writing this. And the ground was like carpet woven with tiny cables. The trunk of the huge tree in front of her was also completely covered with this texture. Although it might not just be the outer layer. Maybe the entire thing is made of pasta all the way across to its core. She looked at her surroundings. It was quiet. Nothing was moving except for the few fireflies around. As she stepped onto the trunk to get a little closer, she felt a presence. Oh boy. She put her hand on her sword. The cables on the slope at the boundary between the tree trunk and the ground were sliding. It was a large number of snakes slithering around. Eventually it rose, and the cables and ivy gushed out of the ground like a flood. The cables had sprung were wriggling as if they were alive, but eventually they all started moving in unison. The cables and ivy slowly wove itself together to form something. Kane, who was on alert, watched it grow, slowly taking the shape of a person. It looked like a boy, but it had no legs. Only the upper half of its body was growing out of the base of a huge tree. Its skin was green metal and vegetation, glistening with slime and oil. Carefully, a thin, leafy plant sprouted from its head, like hair fluttering in the wind. The boy arched his back and changed his expression, as if he had just noticed Kane. Hey, The boy's head flew off as Kane slashed it to the side. Ah, boy, that is typical Kane. That is typical Kane. The poor head was blown away and landed on the mechanical carpet woven of cables and iron and scrap iron. It disintegrated and drove to the ground like a bunch of worms escaping. The decapitated body unraveled as well and disappeared into the ground. Silence once again fell over the forest of machinery. The misty, unpleasant air seemed to grow even thicker. Good grief, you're so violent. The voice came from above. She looked up at the giant tree and saw that this time the boy was growing parallel to the ground. He folded his arms, shook his head, and swayed with an air of dismay. Well, should I introduce myself? Kane didn't answer. Silence. Awkward atmosphere. Neither of them moved at all. The boy, who had been frozen with his arms crossed, shook his head once more and opened his mouth. Well, let me introduce myself. I am administrator of this forest. God, is this Elon Musk's great-grandchild or something? How do I... Can I do the Google read? Google text to speech. What do we have here? Can I do Google text to speech? Okay. Can I? No, I want to. Free online voice converter. Okay, let's see. Oh boy.
Lambda K. Sigma. H.
Sorry, come again? Let's pause the music real quick.
Lambda K. Sigma. H.
Oh, there's question marks everywhere. So let me just... What if I separate it like this?
Lambda K. Sigma. H.
That's quite something.
Lambda K. Sigma. H.
What about you?
K. H.
K8. Wow, okay. What about this one?
K H
Fucking Aussies.
K H
What about the US version?
Lambda K. Sigma. H.
What about this?
Lambda K. Sigma. H.
It's like Musk's great-grandchild or something. Trying to understand this mess of letters. They're just the names of the symbols, aren't they? Yeah, but I don't know the names of all the symbols because, you know, reasons. The interview section is at the end of the book, by the way. Okay, cool. Then we'll naturally get to it. Okay, the weird naming conventions aside. The sound was completely inaudible. Oh, put this down. There we go. The sound was completely inaudible. Well, I don't think you are capable of understanding that, but you can call me whatever you want. Administrator or boy. Boy. So there are a few things I'm sure you don't understand. Is there anything you want to know? Number 1 is about this forest. Number 2 is about me. And number 3 is about the future. Which do you want to know? Oh my god, it's one of those telephone bot programs. Oh god. Does it also play music? Please tell me it doesn't play music. That is cringy. It is either like too loud or not loud enough, and then it switches tracks and then the volume changes, so you either blow out your ears or you think you've lost your hearing. Or maybe you've lost your hearing because you've blown out your ears. Worst things ever. She spread her hand out as if to say, "What do you think?" Silence. Neither of them moved at all. One of the fireflies moved between Kaine and the boy. As its tiny light was lost behind the fog, the boy started his story. I love how the boy just starts his story. She doesn't even answer. Then I'll explain in order. First of all, about this forest. As you can see, it's composed of machines and plants, which is because the whole forest is becoming a big machine. It's called a computer, but I don't think you understand its concept, right? Simply put, it's a machine that thinks for itself. Moreover, it's the ultimate human-made computer, combining the triumphs of quantum mechanics and muscle research. So it's a quantum computer. Fun! Its branches stretched all over the world, collecting anything and everything there is to be known. Kaine swung her sword directly behind herself. The machine that was about to swoop down on her was instantly cut in half, tumbling away while spewing green oil and glitter. It was shaped like a box, with short arms on either side. It was the same type of machine that could be found in the junk heap. Oh! One of those. The world is like one big brain, with information connecting every part of it. Oh right, my apologies. I'm explaining all this in the wrong order. I forgot to mention something important. This forest is a terminal that manages your district. But because this district has been deemed a failure, the termination process has begun. That's why it's in this state now. District? Termination process? Makes me question how many districts there are. Termination process? Yeah, well, you're Kaine. Your name is Kaine, right? For us looking at the database, this world is nothing but a cluster of information. We can instantly find out anything we want. You know about Project Gestalt, right? Now, why didn't you listen to me while fighting? No, why don't you listen to me while fighting? She was completely surrounded by countless box-shaped robots stretching as far as the eye could see. Kaine opened her mouth. Oh yeah. This is so much better than listening to a bedtime story from a kid like you. She kicked away a box-shaped robot that had fallen above her head. It flew off into the distance with a flashy spark. This is more my style. Haha, you're doing well. She removed her other sword from her back and looked down at the machines with her hands dangling down. She could hear a voice coming from behind. Haha, you're doing well. Before he could finish, the 4 machines on his right blew up. After crashing into the robot behind them, Kane jumped over the rolling steel boxes, slashing at the group behind her, sending out a flurry of sparks. The momentarily delayed explosion caused flames and smoke to billow out. If it wasn't for the continuous stream of explosions, it would be impossible to tell where Kanye was amongst this swarm of robots. One after another, the robots formed a small pile of metal carcasses right in front of Kane. She swore as she peeled off the armor of the nearest one and stabbed at what looked like a fuel line. She had learned through her countless battles that if she damaged this area, the steel box would blow up quickly. Each time the pile of robots blew up, Kane shielded herself from the shockwave using a borrowed steel plate. She was also using it as a foothold to attack the next target. It's amazing. That's beyond the limit of replicants. Kane frowned. With her right hand, she cut off a handful of robots. With her left foot, she kicked a different robot. She jumped and dexterously bounced over their heads as she headed back the way she came. A huge number of missiles were following her path. Kane was seemingly shouting something, but her voice was lost in the canopy of the fight. In the meantime, the projectiles finally reached her and she was enveloped by a cloud of flame and smoke. As the boy squinted to see if Kane had survived, she jumped out from the center of the explosion and attacked him. But he could realize that it was a sword. Kane had sliced his body in half, kicked him in the neck and jumped out, leaving him screaming. Then more missiles came raining down. Small explosions piled up on top of one another, creating large fireballs all around the place. Some of the robots that were holding ammunition were also caught up. Wreaking ever greater damage, Kane ran vertically up a large tree as if pushed by the blast, and jumped onto a branch in the middle of the tree. Ever since she lost her magic ability, Kane's swordsmanship and physical skills have become even sharper. It wasn't a sword that was caused greater damage, but the increased number of reckless attacks that put her own life in danger. She did not enjoy the thrill of it, nor was she intoxicated by this destructive power. She was just carrying out her rampage without hesitation. People will die if they're reckless. The way she fought was as if she was willingly rushing towards this outcome. Yeah, that's the sad part. That's the sort of vibe I got from this entire route. She's like, oh, everyone dies, including myself. Oh well, I'm okay with this. I'm just gonna keep continuing shades until one inevitably kills me. You know, it's crazy for people to go out in weather like this, because you'll get attacked by shades. This is perfect. I'm gonna go out in the middle of this storm and start killing shades. Hopefully one of them kills me. If not today, maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, the day after that. It is so sad. She's literally alive just to die. Like, what is the point of this existence? It is so sad. Even replacing NieR, she's not living with Yona or living in the village or anything like that. She's just marking time. She's not enjoying life. She's just existing. Not even because she wants to, but because she's alive and nothing's killed her yet. It's really sad. It's like, oh, this is one of the endings. Wait, I thought this was a happy ending. It's like, nope. This is a Yoko Taro game. What did you expect? It's like, oh, shit. It's so sad. I don't even know why I can't even say that I'm surprised anymore. I'm at this point just, I've accepted the fact that it's miserable. This is the status quo of Yoko Taro games. It is depression given form. We're just describing it. It is so sad. Oh, damn it, Yoko Taro. Why you do this? You mean, mean man. With her bangs fluttering, Kane looked down at the ground with a cool face. The surroundings were tinged with red from the glow of flames. There was a large crater at the missile's impact point, and inside it, severed cables and plants were bursting while making strange noises. Kaine, who had been watching the forest burn, looked to her left. Out of the corner of her eye, a branch wriggled unnaturally, and the end of it grew back into the boy. "This is a device to end you guys," he said in an amused tone, putting his hand over his mouth. Project Gestalt is managed on a district-by-district basis, and if certain conditions are met, the district is declared a failure. That's when we come in. We'll clean up the mess and freeze it until Gestalts are rescued by people from other districts. That's the way it's programmed. Ah, okay. Wait, so there's other watchers like Devil and Popola in other districts. But this just so happened to be the district with the Shadow Lord, which doomed the entire project. So the other districts are basically fucked regardless of what happens, because there's no Shadow Lord to trigger the mass sort of fusion of replicants and shades. Kaine didn't answer, but looked at the devastation below. Her face flickered orange in the hot wind. That's what the machines from the place you called the Junk Heap are designed for, to destroy all replicants, and this forest will cover the entire district. Right, so okay, so that explains the Junk Heap's mass production. And it almost makes me feel like all those robots from NieR Automata are just upgraded versions of the Junk Heap robots. Yeah, there are multiple Purple and Devil observers. We see another in Automata. Yeah, that explains it, because they went from one place, walked across the desert, and eventually ended up here. And they were treated like shit because the other Devil and Purple units were, you know, a bit psycho. Wow. This is all going full circle. On the ground, the robot began to spit out green bubbles as they grunted and groaned. They seemed to be disposing of the wreckage of their comrades and putting out fires. As she watched, she blurted out, "I just have to destroy them all." Kaine fell in a whoosh. In midair, she looked at the boy and said, "I'll kill you later." The boy laughed. Despite Kaine's lithe appearance, the attack she made upon landing blew away all the robots in her proximity, creating a perfectly clean circle when viewed from above. As soon as she stood up, she dexterously sliced through the ground, full of pipes, with her two swords. The result was a 2-meter radius slash mark center on her. It's a pain in the ass trying to figure out which one to take down first, so you guys make the first move. If you cross this line, I'll turn all of you into scrap iron and sell them off to the material store. So look forward to it, you bastards. Whew! Oh, Kaine. That's Kaine, alright. Kaine had 3 rules. She knew she was the violent type. I'm glad she's aware. Would have been really awkward if she thought she was a pacifist. Wow, okay, I'm gonna drink a little water to that. She knew she was the violent type. That's why she set 3 rules for herself to follow whenever she grabbed her sword. The first rule was, if it's a shade, kill it. I'm not the type of person that would forgive the monsters that killed my grandmother. If they're shades, I will kill them no matter what. The second rule was, if it harms people, kill it. If it attacks someone, whatever it is, I will kill it. I don't think I was that meddlesome in the past. The third rule was, if you don't like it, kill it. I don't know how much self-control I can exercise with the last rule. Wow. Wow, okay, Kaine. Interesting. Don't get on Kaine's bad list. She's like a murderous Santa Claus. Anyway, if it falls under any of these 3 rules, killing becomes acceptable. These guys here violated at least the second and third rules. That was more than enough reason to kill them. As per the rules, Kaine turned every single enemy that entered the line into scrap iron stabs. The machines attacked from above and below, not to mention in front and behind, left and right. And she sliced them up with precise, calm, and minimal movements. The first line she drew on the ground with the tip of her sword was already obscured by the wreckage of the robots. But it didn't matter. None of them were able to move past into the area. There was no wasted movement on the tip of her sword. She used the momentum of her slash to knock down the next enemy, and then used the return of her sword to slice through the next, while fending off their attacks with her elbows. When they were charging from behind, she wouldn't even turn her head, using only intuition to slay them while appearing to be random. All her attacks were striking exactly where she had intended to. The circular motion of the sword had a certain rhythm to it, and from a distance, the after image of the sword looked like a beautiful sphere. Jesus Christ! Even so, after 30 minutes... 30 minutes?! Jesus Christ! Kane's body started to show signs of fatigue. Her movements were becoming uneven and she began to take more and more damage. However, the robots were unable to inflict any fatal wounds. Her figure, covered in blood and oil, radiated a strange heat in the forest. 30 minutes! 30 minutes! What is this, 300? Kane could at this rate single-handedly hold back the entire Persian force. This is insane. 30 minutes. 30 minutes of just killing robots every second or two. How big is this pile? This is just stupidly big. What was her plan? Just keep killing? But then again, she doesn't really care if she dies. Oh, whoa. A large robot came from behind the fog. It was different from the previous types. Long limbs, 2 eyes. It looked like the guy from the deepest part of the junk heap. It was that jerk who was accompanied by a young shade. The discomfort of that time still haunted her. No matter how much she wanted to, she couldn't quite forget the scream of that shade. I'm pretty sure there was something there fighting with me. My head hurts like a bitch. Haha, is that someone you cared about? The voice of the boy echoed once more through the forest, but this time she couldn't tell where it was coming from. Well, if you can defeat this one, I'll tell you something good. Breathing hard, Kanye didn't have the strength to say anything back. I don't intend to be bargained with. I just kill enemies. When I'm done with this guy, it's your turn. There is nothing more to it. Hit it till it dies. Hey, Gideon, we got some materials for you. How is she gonna carry all this? What, she just grabs a sack and starts dragging. What is this, Skyrim? She's in the Forest of Myths, so she needs to drag it all the way through the open plains, up a ladder, and, like, that's a lot of trips. An insane number of trips. Especially if she has extra drops enabled. The large robot was different from the type she had fought before. Its arms were like giant pincers, and it had 4 lights for eyes. It was reminiscent of a deep sea crab. Fine by me. The further away it is from human form, the less hesitant I am to kill it. The crab swung its right arm wide and lunged at Kane. There was no way it could have aimed at its prey with such a predictable move. It was a bluff even a child could understand. It then swung its right pincer down and used another to fire magic bullets. Unfazed by the surprise attack, Kanye didn't intend on dodging any of them, and plunged forward. She cut down the magic bullets in front of her, and finished her swing by cutting down the crab's right arm. The remaining magic bullets also burst in. The robot's right arm came off cleanly from the joint and flew off. However, something was wrong. In the upper right corner of her field of vision, she could see a large gun barrel at the base of the sectioned right arm. By the time she realized that, it was too late. The magic circle had already finished deploying and had reached a critical state. It was a large magic launcher, a double trap. As soon as she noticed it, a magic bullet was fired. The sound was definitely high-pitched, and at the same time, the explosion of the impact enveloped Kane into a ball of flames and smoke. The crab continued to fire at her. It was a fierce barrage. So fierce that its huge body floated from the blast. The surrounding cables and scrap iron flew up into the air. Without pausing, the crab raised its only remaining pincer, still attached on its left arm. Though it couldn't see her through the smoke, it slammed the pincer into the last recorded position. As it was trying to find Kanye's position again, it received an unexpected pressure on its left arm. Before it could compute what had happened, it was confirmed that it had been slashed, and its arm was ripped into 2 pieces. It tried to counterattack with the magic cannon on its right arm, but before it could find its target, it was sliced off from the root. As it twisted its huge body to crush Kane with its remaining torso, it also had already been split into 2. The huge body of the crab fell to the ground. sending up a plume of smoke. In the center of it stood Kane, covered in blood. Her left arm looked painfully dislocated. Ooh! But she swung her sword with all her might to bring it back to normal. Her beastly grunts were muffled by the sound of burning flames. Jesus Christ! She is the goddess of war. If they needed a homunculus for wrath, give it to Kane. She's just built different. Jesus. I'll tell you what information you've lost so you can find the strength to push on. It's been hard for you to remember anything lately, hasn't it? You feel like you're missing something, don't you? I'll tell you what it is, but only if you can beat these kids. Wow, this little thing is a bitch. It keeps changing the rules. Why do I feel that it's 9S? Little Nazi bastard. Kane slowly turned around to look behind her. Metal parts and plants were gathering into something resembling a human shape. There were 5 of them. They had neatly arranged features, supple physique and ample breasts. The 5 fingers on each side grasped the hideous sword. Oh god, they're herself, aren't they? For a while, she didn't recognize the dolls for what they were, but then she realized they were copies of herself. She smiled indignantly. In response to the boy's challenge, Kane started running forward. Don't you worry. I wouldn't want to keep those freaks alive either. The 5 dolls unleashed a high-pressure stream of water and blasted Kane into a large tree. On the way down, some mechanical debris blown by the shockwave hit her right arm. A sound that can't be described as a cry or a scream came gurging out of the girl's mouth. Fucking hell, Kane thought to herself. The boy's voice was ringing in the distance. The 5 of them are mechanical dolls created by altering your replicant's data. They should be even more powerful than you are, but that remains to be seen. I hope you don't expect me to listen to all that bullcrap you've been spouting out. It's the second story about me. I'm the administrator of this forest, and I'm the program that controls the maso particles and their effects. The program is called, or should I say, right. You can think of it like Grimoire Vice, you know? I can do anything you can think of. Gestalt, replicants, life and death. It's all within my grasp. Kane slowly stood up. The boy looked a little sad. I've been wondering why I have this kind of godly power. I've been thinking about it for a long time, but I can't get an answer. No one will tell me. I love how the machine with godly power is having an existential crisis. I mean, I know my function. I know my purpose, but I'm still gonna have this existential crisis. Because, fuck sentience. This is what happens when you develop quantum computing. It starts thinking for itself, and then it starts asking, why am I alive? This is just... yeah. God damn it. Yeah, we know from the audio drama that the original Kane was given enhancements that gave her increased strength and other abilities. Do we though? Because that's not what I got from the audio drama. We knew that she was strong, but I didn't know that she had been given enhancements. I just knew that she was strong. I don't know where you got the enhancement thing from. Because she did fight that robot when her grandmother and grandfather got stabbed. We knew the original one was enhanced, but I didn't know the replicant was. It's how she was able to hurt the Red Eye by herself. I'm trying to think in the audio drama. I can't actually remember any mention of enhancements. 5 mechanical dolls jumped in Kanye. She was already this exhausted. And now she had to fight 5 copies of herself. Her chances of winning were almost none. However, her right hand still moved on instinct. She could still fight. She threw the sword in her right hand at the lead doll. As soon as it hit the head of the puppet, she jumped kick and pushed the sword that was stuck into it. She then used it as a springboard to turn and lunge forward. She mowed down another body close at hand, right across the torso, but she couldn't pull it out. The puppet with the slashed upper body was just shaking, spewing green oils from its belly. But from behind it, 2 puppets were holding Kane's cutting edge with their own swords. The strong impact was left on Kane's left side as she tries to forcefully push. She was kicked away by the remaining dolls. Damn, this just isn't fair. After being bounced between the dolls 2 or 3 times, she rolled on the ground and finally stopped moving. She couldn't get up. A mixture of gastric juices and blood flowed in her mouth. Was sprayed out with a loud cough. The red blood mixture with the green oil made a strange pattern on the ground. Before she knew it, the boy was standing next to her, looking down at her. The third one, about the future, he said in a cool voice. So I've decided to end this world. No more humans, no more machines. I don't want a world I can't understand. This world was a failure. I have no reason to exist anymore. Goddamn machines with their existential crisis and suicidal tendencies. Stupid little shit. The 3 dolls approached Kanye, their mouths opened unusually wide, emitting a terrible cacophony. She forced herself to stand up, dragging her body. I can't just leave the bastard there without punching him at least a few times. She tried to slash at the dolls with her sword in her left hand. In response, the dolls shot out high-pressure water streams in dancing motion. She couldn't reach them in time and a number of water whips hit her. Her left arm was blown away. The impact sent a shockwave through her weakened body. Ah! A distracting voice rang in her ears. Kane, are you okay? I was just thinking, where the fuck is Emil? The voice sounded familiar. So this is basically the part of the fight where Emil comes in. So this was going on for like 30 minutes. For us, it was maybe like 5 minutes. But here it was like 30. Her grandma told her about the enhancements they gave her. I don't recall the conversation being about enhancement. I recall them just saying that she's strong. Wow. We didn't get the crab boss? Yes, we did. She already killed the crab boss. She was trying to focus despite her vision blurred by the water, blood, and overall exhaustion. She was startled. There was an unnaturally large, round head floating in the air. I can't see shit. Is this an eye? What's this? Emil? Oh, Emil. It's Emil. Not the Emil that I know. He was more normal in shape. I've never heard of him having 4 arms. Emil's used his arms to create 4 magic circles, 1 for each arm, shielding her from the remaining mechanical dolls. He turned his head towards her while she stared, blinking at him. Oh, this... Actually, it didn't go too well during the process of rebuilding my body, and they ended up with more arms. But I thought it was better to have more than less. What are you doing here, Kane? I love how eventually his body did actually rebuild itself. It just, you know. We didn't get the crab boss. Not in ending E, we didn't. We did beat the P-33 bot-like thing. Oh, right. Yeah. No. In the game, we didn't actually fight the crab boss. No, you're absolutely right. I thought you meant, like, in this story, we didn't face the crab. And I'm like, wait, yes, we did. But then again, like, it's not a deal breaker not to fight the crab boss, you know? With a stunned expression, she replied, I'm fighting. Haha, right, I'll join you. Letting out a loud cry, he pushed off the 3 bodies, crushed against the wall, and the doll started to creak, spewing oil and making eerie sounds. It happened so suddenly and effortlessly, those dolls might just have been made of paper. Kane tried to hold back her emotions. What happened? Where have you been all this time? Why are you here? There were so many questions she wanted to ask, but there was one thing she knew, one thing she couldn't possibly doubt. She could rely on him. Like before when they fought together, what could be more important than that? This is so cute. In both iterations of their existence, they're friends. That's so cute. Something fell on Emil's head. It was the upper body of one doll that had been cruelly cut into pieces. Ah! Emil shouted while curling himself up. Bang! There was a terrible sound of something hitting the ground. He looked below and saw more halved dolls lying on either side of him. The remnants of the dolls lost their shape as they unraveled and were absorbed by the machinery on the ground. New copies of Kane were being woven in front of them. Kane stood up, shaking off the oil from her sword. The blade was beginning to show signs of wear and tear. Kane, there are no end to these guys. What should we do? I can feel a tremendous amount of magic power coming from the center of that bigger tree. I think that's the source of the energy. So, Kane was just fighting for 30 minutes endlessly. Had Emil not come in, and even if she was dominating in the fight, she would just continue fighting. Because the energy source is just sitting there. Damn it! Kane is the personification of all brawn and no brains. Akane... not Akane, goddammit. Kane is like Akane from Danganronpa 2. Like, all brawn. See, yeah. Discarding the crushed doll, Emil pointed at the base of the large tree. There was a large cavity that contained what looked like a small shrine. Let's fucking smash that place. Kane chuckled. If we smash the shit out of it, things will probably be messy. But who cares? We have no choice but to smash it. That's all we can do. On the path to the big tree, cocoons rose up one after another. They quickly became like crystallus, taking the shape of Kane. Under the white glossy skin, the mechanical dolls were wriggling. Let's destroy the big tree, Kane spat. She ran forward, slashing the dolls with her brandished sword as she went, while Emil was shielding her from the high-pressure water streams. Is everything alright? I'll protect... More than 10 mechanical dolls rained down on Emil's head, like spears falling from the ceiling. Before Emil could even let out a gasp, Kane used the sword to smash all 10 dolls. Emil flipped dexterously in the air as he floated away. Damn, you're really violent, Kane. But we're getting close. Emil looked up and saw that they were almost at the base of the large tree. The boy's voice rang out from above. Haha, amazing, that's amazing. Show me how far replicants can go. Show me. The boy had spouted from the trunk of the large tree and looked delighted. Kane jumped at the base of the tree. It was so huge that she didn't know exactly how to attack it. She simply tried to slash it at the center of the hollow part, but she couldn't even damage it at all. The material was incredibly hard compared to everything she had previously encountered. Wait, leave it to me. She heard the voice after the place suddenly exploded and she was blown away. That was dangerous, idiot. Haha. I know you can't die that easily. Emil set off explosives one after another. The base of the large tree was slowly shredded apart. Meanwhile, Kane was cutting down the mechanical dolls that attacked. Kane, Emil shouted. When she looked at the base of the large tree, she saw a large magical barrier floating near its center. It seems that my magic can't break this. Try hitting it. I'll destroy your copies instead. Even before Emil had finished, Kane was slamming her sword into the magic barrier. There was a tremendous flash of light, as if magic was chanting. Mysterious letters scattered in the air. That's right, that's our core frame. It's amazing, isn't it? The world's information is gathered into its light. It's like a big river of maso and information all rolled into one. The boy shouted with laughter, as if he had become someone else. Kane continued to slam her sword. Emil came up behind Kane, repelling away the dolls. Kane! The shape of the surrounding ground was becoming distorted. The shape of the giant tree was also changing. The cables that had been neatly woven into the ground were breaking apart. The unraveled cables and plants began to dance as if they had a will of their own. The outlines of the trees, the ground, and the dolls were all blending together. It was as if the forest was melting and becoming an ocean. What you're seeing now is the true state of this world. Machines, people, and plants are being combined into a new form through the power of magic. It's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing that you replicants can reach this layer. They had reached what appeared to be the center of the machine. It was filled with muscle, the source of magic power. Emil was desperately trying to protect Kane from the giant cables that were falling one after another. A group of cables, which looked like a fusion of a giant tree and the ground, transformed into a huge mortar-like shape. Eventually, the periphery of the mortar began to deform in a strange way. Thin, soft curves. The entire forest seemed to be transforming into a large abstract pattern. A huge amount of magic power developed around Kane, and the air was flooded with a torrent of words, iron and plants. It's like the boundary between magic and reality is disappearing. The boy was crushed by a giant, tumbling cable cutting off its whisper. Emil struggled to shoot the storm of cables. He seemed to be screaming something, but it could no longer reach Kane's ears. She was slowly enveloped in a white light, swinging her sword incessantly. I'm going to destroy this place and all sounds disappeared. This place was at the boundary between reality and fantasy. She felt as if there was something important further beyond. Her thoughts were filled with light. Stretching her arms into it, she could feel something at her fingertips. She couldn't make it out clearly, but it was as if she was touching something warm. She understood it was a person, but she couldn't grasp it. Chasing the presence that was escaping between her fingers, Kane tried to go even deeper. A voice said, "Ine, you can't. A tear rolled down Kane's cheek. Back. You shouldn't. I'm not sure what it is, but it's something I miss deeply. She timidly extended her arms again. No. She couldn't reach it. Its existence was about to disappear again. Shut up, shut up, shut up. I get to decide for myself how I live my life. I don't take orders from anyone. I swore I would be a sword. I swore that I would be your sword. She was scared. The fear of losing him again made her cry. She was angry. She was screaming at her inability to get it back. I'll get you back. I'll get you back no matter what it takes. At that moment, she suddenly felt something pushing on her back. It was just a gentle push, using it to progress even further. She continued to shout, "That is bullshit. Who the fuck do you think you are just to disappear like that? I'm the one who gets to decide for myself what my life means to me. It's my life, and I'll do whatever I want with it. So quit wasting time and get your ass back here, you rotten shit." Oh, so she's starting to get her memories back. I'm just imagining the Route E that we were playing, hacking and slashing and going deeper into the tree, and I can just sort of see the sort of, the... God damn it. The parallels between the two. Kuma, you mind if I post the memes on NieR thread? Yeah, go for it. I post on Twitter because I know not everyone's on Discord. And I know the people on Discord, I get to post them on Discord anyway. But Twitter gives an opportunity to those people that aren't on Discord. And also new people. And also it doesn't hurt to have a meme thread once in a while. Oh my god, that is so Kane. The light subsided. The sky was visible again. A wide blue, the forest of myth was gone. The machines and plants that had made up the forest were woven together into a spiral, forming a thin plane with a gentle curve. Many of these planes radiated out a single large structure. Oil was dripping from the outer edges of the surface, but there was so much of it that it was floating down like a waterfall. The center of what had once been a forest was smoothly hollowed out, from which rose a tower the color of young grass. When seen from a distance, it looked like a giant flower. In the center of its petals, the pistil seemed to be pointing straight up to the sky. It was a singular, glorious flower. Its shape was very similar to the flower called a lunatic. At its center, atop of the pistil, Kane was sitting there, embracing a special person in her arms. The familiar, but deeply missed face was sleeping with gentle breaths. A floating Emil appeared in between the petals. She looked up. Back there, when she was pushed back in the light, she was sure she heard a voice. "Take good care of him, hussy." Oh my god! Once again they meet. Emil, with a slightly different body. Kane, who had grown up a little. And then there's him, who's just a little kid again. Right. His name is... Oh my god. Jesus, that hit like a train. Oh my god, Weiss, you MVP. Oh my god, Illidan the MVP. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was... Oh my god, so good. Oh my god, so fucking good. That hit like a truck. I even heard that in his voice. I even heard that in his fucking voice. And everything. Wow. That is so... Oh my god. I can't be the only one. Oh man. So this was written before Automata, so there is no mention of the girl administrator android in the story. You did hear it in his voice since it was in the game. So this was released prior to Automata. See, I'm trying to force myself to call it Automata. This was released prior to Automata and was adapted into Route E. So Route E's story existed, but it was only available through Grimoire NieR, which was exclusive to Japan. Talk about getting fucked as a Western fan. I mean, come on, let's be serious. You get, if you played NieR and you get the D ending, it's practically shit. You either get NieR without Kane, or you get Kane without NieR. Either way, it sucks. And then this exists, which is only available to the Japanese audience. This if I read this after just playing NieR with no ending E, I would have been happy. Because this would have been closure. This would have been, oh wow, we actually get a somewhat happy ending. Vice is no longer around, I'm sad about that. But you have Kane, Emil's back in the picture, and NieR is kind of back. Better than finding all the lore for Automata in multiple forms like the stage play and other materials. Yeah, well, it's good that it's all in one spot, but, you know, Yoko Taro was kind of spreading out the way that he, you know, gave out the information. But I completely agree. It's kind of sad that not only is it only available in Japan, like the stage plays, only available in Japan, but they were only available for a limited time in Japan, and the DVDs were a physical release. There's no digital release. So if you don't get the physical DVD recording, which is probably like the last day of the stage play because it was small at the time, you will never get to see it. And it's rare. Like, please tell me they have a copy of it somewhere on file. Or they kept the CD. I'm surely they could, you know, create a release with a recording of all the stage plays. I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. I'm not asking for much. I'm literally asking for the story of your franchise. Is that too much to ask for? And I know one of the stage plays we got into in the terminal because it's the story of A2's team. But reading it was just epic. And this is before I got used to reading things like this. I'm reading this after having read that. The first time that terminal came up, I was like, terminal. But then the music started playing and we got deeper and deeper into the story. And I was like, oh my God. Why is this not mandatory to read? It is amazing. In asking for access to buy your side content. Yes! That's exactly what I'm asking for. I'm asking for the opportunity to be able to buy it. I'm not even asking for it for free. I'm just asking for access to it. And I even went on, I think it's called the Bunker Discord. That's run by someone that lives in Japan and effectively has a shrine for Yoko Taro. And they have all of the CDs. They have all of the drama CDs. They've went to all of the plays. And I'm basically like, does anyone know where to get the drama CDs? And they're like, oh, yeah, buy the physical version. And don't you dare ask people if you can download it somewhere. That's duh. And I'm like, I get what you mean if it was readily available, which it's not. And I've been trying to find a physical copy. There's like a few in circulation, but people are asking like $1,000 for them, which is exorbitant. That's just what the fuck. You're asking $1,000 for a DVD because you can. And you've probably already made a copy for yourself, which is why you're doing it. You're trying to cash in on the franchise. And I'm just saying, like, isn't there a digital copy? And if it's $1,000, are you basically saying the fans of the franchise have to choose between either paying $1,000 or getting it copied illegally, which you're saying, well, that can't be talked about in this Discord because, you know, you're a hardcore fan. And they're like, well, I buy the CD. And I'm like, so you paid several $100s for it? It's like, yes. It's like, don't you see the bullshittery in this? Access to the story is being locked behind, you know, people scalping. And you're not helping the situation by kicking people off a community Discord for discussing where to get a copy. It's like, you're kind of gatekeeping a franchise you enjoy and making it inaccessible for new people. You're only hurting the franchise. You're not actually helping Yoko Taro. You're actually hurting him. You're actually helping scalpers. You don't realize this, but you are helping scalpers. You're not helping Yoko Taro. You're actually hurting Yoko Taro. God damn it! I want to be able to watch the goddamn drama plays. I'm sure a lot of people would. Oh. Aww. Cute. Oh, they even had this drawing. Once there were trees full of birds, mellow lands vibrant with flowers. Carefree the songs of our children once sang, gliding 1 minute in hours. clouds name and covered the sun, the breath of a beautiful unease. Turning to ashes, flowers in the fields, the silence, the birds in their trees. Hidden so deep in the veils of deceit, imprisoned in twisting spells. Are we the playing of the fiends or merely the dreams? We're telling ourselves. Strive till the phantoms are broken, fight till the battle is done. The squadron of night can conquer the day, nor shadows extinguish the sun. Stories of danger, fearless attack, specters of plague and pain. All these ghosts on our own delusions come back, and will be haunted again. For though the storms are over and past, though the thunderous rage is quieted at last, well, this nightmare's laid me down in the rags here to mourn. The night was left us crippled with grief, as we strive to keep alive our belief. But at a loss so great, it clouds all our hopes for the dawn. Hidden so deep in the veils of deceit, imprisoned in twisting spells, are we the playing of fiends or merely the dreams that they're telling ourselves? Stories of danger, fearless attack, specters of plague and pain. All of these ghosts on our own delusions come back. Have we been fighting in vain? This is just Ashes of Dreams lyrics. Is it in here? Ashes of Dreams? Where are you? This dream. Here it is.
Once there were trees full of birds, meadowlands vibrant with flowers, carefree the songs our children once sang, gilding our minutes and hours. deceit, imprisoned in twisting spells. Are we the plaything of fiends, or merely the dreams that we're telling ourselves, telling our stories of danger, fearless attack, specters of plague and pain. All of these ghosts of our own delusions are back. Have we been fighting in vain? Fighting in
I think she sang it a little bit better than I read it. Just a tad. Just a tad. So good. No matter what version of this song you listen to, it is beautiful. Oh, you know your lyrics are good when you can make a German song sound so soft and delicate. German is such a powerful, emotional language, and they make it sound so gentle. Meanwhile, ordering water at a restaurant in German sounds like a war declaration. Meanwhile, this is just so delicate. Oh, gives you shivers. I think worth mentioning while we're listening to this beautiful music in the background, I'm editing the NieR Replicant playthrough, and I'm up to the part just after when we kill P33 and we do some of the side quests. We do the Despicable Man, which is the guy that ended up cheating with Gideon and Thingo's mother, and he was double timing another woman living in NieR's village. And then we also have that knife quest, where I was thinking that it's possible that the bar tavern owner in Seafront was the father of Gideon and Thingo because the way he talks about them. And I really appreciate how all the little stories in NieR intersect with one another. It is just amazing. It is amazing. That it's like, oh, they're seemingly random, but they're really not. They each have their purpose, and the ones that are seemingly random can move you as much as the main story, like the loyal dog going to fetch the owner's medicine that died trying to grab the plant, and then the owner died because he didn't get his medicine. It hits you. It really hits you. And you don't see it coming. It's like, oh, it's a fetch quest. I'm gonna go find a lost puppy. Oh, it's dead. That's horrible. I'm gonna tell the owner. Oh god, the owner's also dead. Or at least they're together now, I think. You know? Or the lighthouse lady. It's... The side quests are as good as the main quests. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. That does not often happen in games. Or like the amnesia quest in NieR Automata, when you have to find out who the red-hooded assassin is. That hits as hard as the main story. It is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. and I feel like a drug dealer trying to push the game onto my friends, you know? A friend of mine had the game from when it was released. His girlfriend bought it for him. I'm like, dude, you gotta play it. It's like, oh, when I have time. And then like, I finished playing Replicant. I'm like, dude, you haven't played it yet. It's like, oh, when I have time. I even gave him my copy of Devil May Cry 5. I'm like, play it, goddammit. And now I've got special edition. And I'm like, keep it. Just play it. You've played, 1 to 4. Play 5, damn it. Can't believe they hid a key element like the amnesia quest only come back and bite us. It's beautiful because it hides in plain sight. And if you play it after having finished the game, like it will kill. Like the first time I finished the quest and we heard the song, you get chills. And then I looked at it, I think we looked at it a week or two ago. After knowing the story, you just see it in a different light. It's like, oh my god. Yes, please keep posting the memes. Ah! Thank you. She brought me a croissant. Thank you. With cheese and salami. I like the cheese on my croissant, nice and melted. Okay, now the French version. I wonder if this is how they got the idea for the NieR Automata songs. Get your French, get your German, get your Japanese, put it in a blender. Oh my god. Air-fried warm croissant is a gift from the gods. I have been eating them wrong all my life. They need to be warm. I can eat 3 croissants and they don't taste nearly as good as one bite of this one. Please guys, warm your croissants. It is so appropriate that I'm saying that during the French version of the song. this can continue. Very, very beautiful music. Square Enix does not disappoint in the music department. From all the games that I've played by Square Enix, I have yet to find a single one whose soundtrack I don't love. And that's saying something. That's saying something. I don't know who they have in their music department, but they need to have them on retainer forever and not let them leave the building. They need to keep them locked on the top floor of the Square Enix tower, like Rapunzel. I think at least Rapunzel's the ones in the tower, but you get what I mean, right? Keep them locked up. They should not be allowed to escape. Oh, man. So good. I don't know what is going on, but it is something good. Just keep it going. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. We will pay. It's not just one person. Oh man, it can't yeah, this just hits all around, and this is just one soundtrack. You know, just one soundtrack. Then Automata. Then you've got Final Fantasy, multiple iterations of it. They're just. I don't know. Do they make games or are they a music company at this point? Because they seem to be knocking it out of the ballpark in more than just one field. I really appreciate that beyond. Whew! It doesn't feel right that I should be playing Grandma in the background, so I'm going to play this song in the background. I'll play the Japanese version. No. I'll play the Japanese version, and then that way I can sort of argue that it's in the game. Because that version is technically in the game. So I could just be like, but this is my playthrough. And then if shit goes sideways, I might just tweet Yoko Taro and be like, please, please help me, Yoko Taro-sama. I will send you Kobe beef and Asahi beer. Please help me with copyright. Just bribe him. Just bribe him. Bribe the man with barbecue and beer. I've seen what he drinks. By the way, Kuma. Yes, I hope you're feeling better. I hope you're feeling better. The bleeding is slowing down. That's good. That's good. It's good. Hopefully this keeps you distracted from that. Hopefully this keeps you distracted. All right. Beautiful song in the background. Oh my god, this is too beautiful. It's distractingly beautiful. The Lost World is a short story novella included in the book Grimoire NieR, revised edition. In the aftermath of ending E, the male administrator wakes up alone on a beach. Oh, right. The male administrator, which is the boy. Oh, okay. Okay, so this is not really about Kane, Weiss, and NieR. It's more so about what happens to the male administrator after the thing. This should be interesting. Oh, boy. How much you want to bet is going to do something with Yoha? Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is intimidating. Oh, God. It's like a phone call from Ocelot after the credits. You think you have it figured out. No. Whew. Translated by Dr. Mint. Thank you, Dr. Mint. Basically an epilogue, yeah. Whew. All right, here we go. I hear a song. That was the last thing I heard her say. When he woke up, the boy was lying on a beach. The ocean. Yes, that's right. It was the ocean. The waves were gently tickling his feet. The temperature of the water was neither warm nor cold. He slowly got up and brushed the sand off his face. Looking back at the ocean, the horizon was hazy, blurred into a pure white fog. The boy performed a data analysis of his surroundings, but there was no response. The world that I created is a collection of condensed information. I am its administrator. I know everything about it. I'm supposed to be able to access all of it. If I can't access it, it means that this place is not the data space I know. In order to confirm his hypothesis, he began an order diagnosis. But again, there was no result. All access ports were blocked out. For him, an entity pawn within the network, the flow of data was proof of his existence. To be isolated like this meant he could no longer exist. But somehow, he could still process thoughts. Did the increase in data mass cause time dilation? Or is it some form of nirvana, as the humans call it? After seeing the ocean for a while, he suddenly looked back. there was a gloomy forest, a forest that didn't seem to just be there a moment ago. As if to guide him, there was a path leading deep within. I don't know the meaning of the scenery I'm seeing, but if anything, I know my end is close. To the forest. I have to go to the forest. He recalled his last memory. Oh, I'm just gonna have to lower the music volume a little bit. And she just got louder. Okay, I'll get louder too. He had allowed a replicant named Kane to invade his server and tamper with the data. It wasn't the first time she had invaded his server. She had come to destroy him countless times, again and again. At the cost of the people's collected memories, she twisted the logic of this world to fulfill her own desire. He had been forced to witness the marvel over and over again. At first, he was amazed at the potential of the replicant, but as he observed it hundreds and hundreds of times, his enthusiasm frayed and stopped caring. Oh god, this happened hundreds and hundreds of... Wow. Why do I have to see this miracle again and again? What am I being used and mistreated for? So he brought her to life, out of one of his ribs, to share the boredom, the joy, the disappointment, the hope, the contradiction, the pleasure, the pain, the past, the future, together. And then, as planned, his ego, his very data was blown away, along with her. Damn it, why are you being all Adam and Eve here? The narrow forest path was covered with soft grass. The wind softly caressed his face. A deep breath fills his lungs with fresh air. Breathing lungs, cheeks. He realized that he had organs and senses that weren't supposed to have as data life forms. I wonder if everyone who travels along this path is ought to become human. Or is it because I am an existence originally created by humans? The words path to death come to mind. Have I already faded from reality? After walking for a while, he could see a large castle through a gap in the tree canopies. The castle was made up of a number of towers in a spiral pattern. I would have to climb up one of those towers to reach the next world. I don't see anyone to explain it to me. It was self-evident. The castle had walls, and the walls had entrances which led directly to the inside of the towers. Hop, 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 inside the tower he went. Up the stairs, one step at a time. A sound rang out, and once more, the overlapping sounds became celebratory music that led him to the upper levels. Hop, 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 memories came back to him. The Red Dragon, humans suffering from a black disease, a large number of records collected by mankind, the miracles accomplished by a woman named Kane. This whole process was his ego. However, the Gestalt project hit an impasse, and he, the data administrator, was also destroyed. The dream of reviving the human race was crushed, and everything would end here. I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not. It will be for the future generations to judge, not me. Although I don't know who will take the decision in the absence of humanity. After climbing up the stairs, he came to a circular plaza. In the center, there was a spot that looked like a chair made of stone, with a ray of light shining on it. As he walked to the chair, he saw a large light wavering in the sky. The light changed its shape. It seemed to remind him of something, but he wasn't sure what it could be. The warmth of the light gave him a sense of euphoria. That's it. This is it. It's all over now. I've done my part. I'm satisfied. I never thought I'd see a view like this. To be surrounded by such relief. I'm glad. I'm so glad. No. Suddenly, unexpected words rang out of his mouth. I don't like it. No, 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 no. I'm not afraid of dying. I don't want to disappear. I don't want to move on. I lied when I acted like I had understood everything. As if I had it all figured out. I don't. I don't want to disappear. I'm scared. I'm lonely. I don't want to die. I'm alone. At that moment, he understood. It was for this moment that I made her. No, it was for this moment that she was born. To resist the repeated path to annihilation, this is the fear that she instilled in him. She established the meaning of his existence, of his life. He then noticed a thick fog oozing out from the floor. It spun like a thin thread through the cracks in the stone, and it came together to form a black arm. No, 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 I don't want to die. He tried to shake off the arm that grabbed him, but the sharp nails dug into his flesh. Severe pain was felt. He realized that the screeching sound was his own scream. He forced the claw to open and ran down the tower. The black arm crawled down the wall in order to chase him. Before he knew it, the sound of the stairs had become a cacophony of animal screams. He fell down the stairs as if it was rolling. He banged his body here and there. Screaming in pain, he managed to reach the first floor of the tower and get out. The outside air was cold. It felt as if it was cutting through his skin. The ground was searing hot as he stepped out. He fell down. As he looked down at his feet, he realized they were pierced with needle-like spikes. In front of him, the gentle forest path had turned into a pile of sharp thorns. A black hand approached him from behind. No, please no. He forced himself to move forward. Needles pierced his legs, causing severe pain and spurting blood. No. Tears welled up in his eyes. Still he couldn't stop. Rain was falling from the sky in patches. No, it's not rain. It's blood. It's my blood. Burning hot blood poured down from the sky, gradually gained momentum and eventually turned into a battering deluge. The trees in the forest snapped. The sounds they produced were like screams. Branches were scattered by the muddy stream of blood spiraling upwards. Before he could even realize the danger, he was blown away by a large piece of debris. Something had hit him in the face, sending him down the needle path. It was his arm that had been cut off. Is this a punishment? Do those who defy the truth of death have to disappear in pain and bitterness? Anger welled up inside of him. After bringing me into this world, while designing it to be so absurd, trapping me in a repeating endless hell, the stream of fresh blood that had engulfed the trees turned into the shape of a giant snake. Do you think I'm guilty? Are you trying to say that I am guilty? I won't forgive you. I will not forgive this world. You have no right to punish me. He picked up his severed arm, bit into the protruding bone and ripped it out. As he clutched it, the bone transformed into a sharp sword. He stepped forward. Each step meant plunging into more needles, provoking intense flashes of pain across his vision. The snake swallowed him whole as he fell. Its fangs shredded his flesh, while its black throat engulfed his field of view. He sliced its jaw, throat, and belly with his sword. The moment the boy emerged from the snake's body, he was immediately bitten by another. There were dozens of hungry snakes fighting to bite him. He was laughing. He was laughing without making a single sound. I could see the ocean, the sandy beach. I'm bleeding. It hurts. My hand is missing. Why? I don't know. Why am I here? I don't know. Why am I in such pain? I don't know. I feel like my memory, my ego is disappearing. There is something he remembered faintly. He made a promise to her that they would meet again. It was a promise for the future. Behind him was a dead snake, a snake that he killed. Look at that. I can kill it. I will. I'm going to get up. I'm hurt. It hurts. I can't go back. I can feel the wind coming from the sea. This is the place I must return to. The place where I must go. A soft light comes down from the sky. The light takes the shape of a human and blocks the sea. It's not going to let me go. I'm crying. The pain of killing him and the pain of my birth. Even if all is gone, I'll succeed. This path to go through, I'll achieve. Nothing to become nothing. No thing. Everything returns to nothing. Once more, I'll live, fight, kill. Then, I'm going to see her again. Even if it is a curse. The origin of 2BA9S's entwining fate. It's interesting that at the beginning he was so sure that he was waiting to die and willing to die, and he would have had such a peaceful end. But then, he wanted to live, and then he struggled to live. It's almost Saw in a sense. He went through all that shit to try to live after being so sure that he wanted to die. He discovered that he actually wanted to live. And he started fighting to live. I always thought that A2 was more based off Kane, given, you know, but it's funny that we had the voice of 9S and 2B in the tree. And when I was editing the first time you go through the Forest of Myth, you hear it, but it's very jumbled up. It's very distorted. But if you know it's the voice, you can sort of hear it. And then the second time you actually hear it clearly, and then it really fucks you up. The fun fact, they both got the English VAs for 2B and 9S for the administrators to show their connection. Yeah, I know. The first time you can't make out who it is, but the second time you hear it clearly, and it just hits you like a truck. You're like, fuck! But he created her after that tree was destroyed, right? So why was 2B's voice in the tree? Wasn't she created after? And for NEC, when you go back to the Forest of Myth, you can hear it completely clear. Yeah. Every single time you hear it more clearly. But going by this, so he brought it to life out of one of his ribs to share the boredom, the joy, the disappointment, the hope, the contradiction, the pleasure, the pain, the past. When was she created? Maybe reincarnation solves it. Man, I cannot imagine streaming a mobile game. There's just, oh my god. So you have to like free up your whole mobile, get the software in there to play it, and then also get recording software on your mobile to record it, and then somehow hook it up to, like, seriously? Fuck mobile games. And I know some people that play mobile games, I'm like, go for it, but it's just like, my mobile's my phone, god damn it. Don't turn it into my game console. I don't want to pay thousands of bucks for a fucking shitty game console. I mean, we only pay so much for this thing because it's a little portable computer.
Vice, you dumbass! Start making sense, you rotten book, or you're gonna be sorry! Maybe I'll rip your pages out one by one, or maybe I'll put you in the goddamn furnace! How can someone with such a big smart brain get hypnotized like a little bitch, huh? Oh, Shadow Lord, I love you, Shadow Lord. Come over here and give Vice a big sloppy kiss, Shadow Lord! Now pull your head out of your goddamn ass and start fucking helping us!